Hello everybody, welcome back to Middle School Career Readiness. In today's video, we have Officer Kevin Koch with the Marble Falls Police Department. In today's video, we will be interviewing him about his experience in the military and in the Army, and make sure to go check out the other video where we talk to him about his experience as a police officer. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video at Middle School Readiness. In today's video, we have a police officer with us, so without further ado, I'll let him go and introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Officer Kevin Koch. I am a police officer for Marble Falls Police Department in Central Texas.
Alright, so today we are going to be talking to him about his military experience. So we'll start off with, what branch did you serve in?
I was in the Army.
And what was your rank when you got out of the Army?
I was a sergeant.
What was your MOS, and can you give us a little background or a description of what your MOS was?
Yeah, so my MOS was 19 kilo, which is a armored M1 Abrams armored crew member. So you work your way up from being a driver or a loader. Those two are interchangeable. You could start off on either position, and then you work your way up to a gunner, and then you work your way up to a tank commander.
Okay. And what led you to join the military, and then what led you to join the military and then make you choose to join the Army specifically?
Um, well, I was at a time in my life where I really didn't have much going. I wasn't applying myself anywhere, so to speak. So I found out I was having a kid and I needed to take some responsibility and get a good plan together. So, my whole family is in the military, and my dad was in the Air Force, and my older brothers are in the Army. So when it came down to picking a branch, I just went with the Army. Um, it's what I knew. Um, I was in ROTC in high school, so I already knew the rank structure and drill and ceremony, all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. And while in the Army, what did a typical day look like for you while you're in the Army?
Well, you show up on every day for PT at 6:30 in the morning. You salute the flag, and then you go do your PT, and then you'll go home and change and eat breakfast, and you come back. And most of the days we spent our time in the motor pool, which is a really giant parking lot full of Army vehicles. And so we spent a lot of our time out there working on our tanks to make sure that they were mission ready at all times.
Okay. And what um What would you say was the most challenging part of basic training or boot camp for you?
Uh, Most challenging part is being away from your family and
Yeah.
the limited communication. Uh, there's no cell phones. You get, I think I got to call home maybe 3 times from the payphone. All your communication is done with pen and paper and writing regular, letters and mailing and not email.
Hmm.
Um, so it's important that, we practice those handwriting skills. It's
Yeah.
important. I know we don't really handwrite a lot of stuff anymore, and they don't so much in school anymore either, but good handwriting is going to prove to be very important for everyone someday.
Okay. And would you say that there is one particular thing from your military experience that kind of stayed with you even after you got out of the military?
Um, well, when you're in the military, you adopt a set of principles that live with you forever, like having good morals and having good ethics and you know working hard, getting up early in the morning, making sure that we're doing our job to the best of our ability. And not everyone, but mostly everyone sticks with that kind of mentality. And that was the best part. That's the best thing I got from the army was my discipline.
Okay. What would you say, if there is any that you know of, what would you say was one misconception that either you had as a civilian going into the military or that most people have as a civilian of the military?
Uh, so before I joined the military, I I grew up next to an army base in North Carolina. So, like I said, army is I've been around it my whole life. And before I ever knew much about the army, and I was a young adult and joined, I was delivering pizzas on the military base, and I would see these young soldiers driving uh, brand new Mustangs and brand new uh, trucks and sports cars. And so you automatically just have to assume that they make a lot of money and that they're able to afford everything. Well, that's not the case. That's a huge misconception. Um, that going off in to a tangent without going off into a tangent here, you have to be smart with your money, and a lot of those individuals were not. I would assume I didn't know them personally, but I also seen it on a firsthand basis when I was in the army. I'd have friends that would go off and buy a vehicle for a certain price with a certain interest rate and end up paying a lot more than what they should have. So big misconception. And as far as I don't really think it's a misconception that people think army people all they want to do is be violent and rough with everything. That's not the case either.
Okay. And what, like in basic training, can you tell me some of the different training that you went to, like different PT exercises, different medical training, and MOS specific training?
In basic training,
Yeah.
well, for combat arms jobs like infantry and tankers and cavalry scouts, um, you don't have an extra school. You don't have your basic training and your primary job school are not two separate things. It's
Okay.
all connected. It's all one thing. So while most people that have other jobs in the military get to leave basic training and then go somewhere and kind of be in a more relaxing environment, Um, we don't have that in those combat jobs, and that's called OSIT, one station unit training. And but you learn a lot. You learn how to, you know, maneuver in teams on foot. You learn how to maneuver as an individual if you're taking fire. Um, some of the best first aid training that I've gotten has been from the military, and I can say now being a police officer that the training that is put out to police officers for first aid and tactical combat casualty care is
Mhm.
virtually the same thing as what I've been learning for 10 years in the Army.
Okay. And as being someone in the military, what does leadership mean to you in sort of the military context?
So, leadership isn't just being that person that can tell someone what to do and then they'll do it. Leadership is establishing a common goal with a group of people and working together to reach that goal. Um, so there's going to be a difference between like a manager and a leader. You know, a manager might tell you what to do and make sure you do it right, but a leader is going to, if he has to, show you how to do it, but he's going to do it with you. You guys are going to work together.
Okay. So what are some key qualities that you think someone would need, or not necessarily need, but that someone should have going into the military or the army specifically?
Some key qualities. Um, well, you got to have an open mind. You have to be ready for the unknown, kind of. I mean, mostly everyone has a good idea what basic training is going to like be like before they get there, right? Um, and basic training is not fun. If it was, everyone would do it. Um, but you just have to keep an open mind. A lot of things change in the military. Like I went to Iraq, and the whole time I was in Iraq, uh, I didn't step foot on a tank. So I wasn't doing my job over in the war. I was doing an engineer's job, and I was riding in a truck looking for roadside bombs all day long. Very, very slow driving, and that's all we did. We would find bombs and um, try to get them to blow up on their own, or they would just blow up when we drove by. So a lot of the army, which a lot of people don't understand, when you're a soldier in the army, you fall into the needs of the army. So what does the army need
Yeah.
at this moment in time? You might have your job, you might have your everyday job that you do when you're back in the States, but over there, your needs of the army. And it's the same thing in the States. You may be scheduled to go, your unit may be scheduled to go to uh, the field for a week and do some training. Well, something might come up like any other kind of job, and you have to be ready to be adaptable. So keep an open mind and um, get ready to learn a lot. There's always a lot to learn in the Army, no matter what field you go into. Um, if you want to do combat arms, that's great. I would recommend, just for my personal experience, if I would go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't be in a combat arms job. I would go and do something that has some sort of technical skill, like um, I don't know, it sounds silly, but there's dental assistants in the Army.
Yeah.
Um, there's IT technicians, computer guys. There's cybersecurity guys who I'm pretty sure the Army's offering big bonuses for right now, because
Mhm.
that's the kind of direction that the warfare is moving in with electronics.
Okay. And speaking on technology, how would you say that technology played a role in the military when you worked there, and how has it kind of evolved over the years?
Um, well, by the time I got into the Army, it was already pretty technical. But just in the few years that I was on the tank, I've saw the different upgrades and different change outs of the electronics that they would do. It's very advanced. I couldn't really speak on anything as far as like the computer softwares that they use for like blocking the firewall and stuff like that. But we're still using the same tank that was made in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're just outfitting it with lots and lots and lots of electronics now instead of more mechanical functions.
Okay. And as as you were in the military, you said that you worked on tanks. As working on tanks, did you have any standard issue weapons like a rifle or a sidearm, or was
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah. So tankers have their primary weapon is actually an M9 Beretta.
mm,
It's a 9 millimeter pistol. Um, because inside the tank, it's very small in there. Uh, the loader and the TC, the tank commander, will have rifles as well. They'll have M4 rifles. Um, so that's pretty standard. Everyone in the tank has a pistol. Um, the tank comes equipped with, well, it doesn't. It comes equipped with the 120 millimeter gun, um, but there is a spot for the right next to the gun inside the tank, inside the turret. There's a spot for a 240 machine gun, an
mm,
M240, and that's called. Uh, Give me a second. So you have your 240 inside the tank,
mm.
and then on top of the tank you'll have a 50 cal and another 240.
Okay. And what did eating look like at basic training versus in the field and in the other areas in the military?
Well, the basic training food was really good when we actually got to eat it. Um, just depending on where you're at in the line that day. Sometimes you're up near the front of the line. Sometimes you're in the very, very back. Um, and about the time you're in the back and you're sitting down, the drill sergeants are tired of being in the dining facility, and you have seconds to eat. I mean, I've literally sat down one time, and the drill sergeant said my table was done after maybe 20 seconds of sitting down. And what do? You don't complain. You just, you know, wonder. You'll walk away in shame, but you learn things from it. It's tough. It's tough to handle during that moment, but the food's good. Um, Out in the field, um, you know, MREs are a thing. We eat the MREs, and they're okay. I'm not a fan of them a lot anymore because of how many I've had over the years. But uh, your unit should have or will have a supply person, and a lot of the times our supply person would run back to the base, to the dining facility, and grab food from there, hot chow for everyone, and bring it back out to the field.
Mm.
That food was hit or miss. Sometimes it was absolutely terrible. Sometimes it was good. But when you're out in the field and you're tired of MREs, you'll eat just about anything.
Okay. And are there any tips or advice that you would give to someone who is wanting to join the military, the army, or maybe your particular job specifically?
Some tips. Um, well, for just getting in the military, if you know if that's what you want to do or if you're interested in it and want that as an option, It should be an option for everyone. I'm not going to be an Army recruiter right now, but I've gotten a lot of great things from my service in the Army. I mean, I get to go to school for free, college. It's free, and not only is it free, I get paid for it a lot. Um, so there's that. But getting ready and preparing yourself. Of course, you want to be physically fit before you ship off. You want to be mentally fit as well. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have butterflies and concerns about what might happen. You just have to let it ride. It's looking back. I would go back to basic training right now if I could, just for a day or two, because you know it's easy to me now, but at the time it was hard. Um, and then definitely make sure you are up to par on just basic math and English, because you'll do an ASVAB test and you want to score as high as you possibly can on that test. The higher you score, the better jobs you can get. The better jobs you can get, the more likely it is you'll enjoy your time in the Army.
Okay. And the last question we have is, was there one particular moment in your time as active duty that was either your most memorable moment, like a super exciting moment or dangerous moment, just one moment that stuck with you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I could go on for a long time and probably in more detail than I should about some of the stuff that happened overseas, but the best part about being over there was coming home. That was my favorite part. I remember how happy I was getting to see my family. My daughter was still a baby. It was just a great feeling. And I'm proud of the things that I've done for the Army and overseas, but there was nothing like that coming back after a year and seeing your family.
All right, well, that's going to conclude this segment of the video. Thank you, Kevin, for coming on and talking about your experience in the military. Um, Everyone who's watching, if you go to the description of this video, you will have a link to the Medical Career Outfitters as well as the Refuge Medical link, and then there is a link to the merch down there. And with that, we're going to go ahead and end the video.